Hey y'all, Mr. Tomich back with another video on algebraic relationships. This time we're going to be dealing with representing equations and their relationships between them and graphs. Okay, so we're going to learn how to analyze a graph and represent it with an equation. So here we go. First part I want to do is I want to read the question out, and then from the question we're going to make a table of values based on the equation. So here we go. It says large Texas oranges weigh half of a pound each. Okay, so from those previous videos I know that each is going to be one of my keywords for multiplying. Which graph best represents the equation P equals half times N? So once again, there's that multiplying again. Half of a pound each, okay, with a big emphasis on that word each right here. So therefore, P equals half times N. That's a multiplying relationship. So right off the bat, I can go ahead and eliminate two answers. If you look back on your lesson, on your slideshow, it says that whenever we're dealing with an equation that has a multiplying relationship like we do here, our line is going to pass through the origin, which is 0, 0. It's this little corner right here, okay? We're going to be paying attention to this little corner right here. And since our equation, P equals half times N, is a multiplying relationship, we know that our graph has to pass through that origin, these little blue circles that I circled. So therefore, we can automatically eliminate answer choices D and B here. Okay? So right off the bat, we've made our question so much easier now that we only have to compare two of these graphs. So remember at the start of the video when I said we were going to be making tables from our equation? Let's go ahead and do that. So we know that in an equation, the variable that's by itself is going to be on the y-axis right here, this line that goes straight up and down. Well, let's look at these two graphs here. So P is going to be on our y-axis. We're checking both. We're making sure that P is on our y-axis. It looks like on both graphs we have P on our y-axis. On both graphs, N, which is our independent variable, is going to be on the x-axis right here. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to make a table out of these, out of this equation right up here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so I have a little bit more room here. I'm going to stretch out my canvas so I can work on the sides as well. A little bit more here. Bear with me, guys. I'm just trying to stretch out this canvas a little bit so I have some more room to work with. There we go. Okay. So, remember, we're looking at answer choices A and C right here. Oh, okay. Done with the canvas. Let's go back to paint, maybe. There we go. So, let's make a table out of both of these. Sorry, not out of these graphs. Let's make a table out of the equation, guys, out of the equation. Then, from our table we make out of the equation, we're going to see if the table matches up with our values that are on these lines here. This is why it's very important to make a table. So, I'm going to make a table out of this equation. I'm going to go over here. All right, I'm going to set up my table. Remember, guys, very, very important. The variable that's by itself in the equation is always going to be the variable that is on the right side of the table. It's going to be the last variable. Okay, so let's make our table. Remember, P goes over here, right? And then N is going to go over here. Okay, remember, N is on our x-axis, and P was on our y-axis. So right up above here, I'm just going to mark X and Y. That way we don't get confused on where our values are going to go on the graph. Okay. Remember, your tables are always going to be set up like this, where the x value is on the left and the y value is on the right. This is how your tables are always going to be set up. So let's go ahead and make some values. Four numbers should be good. So P equals half times N. Okay, let's start with 1. If N was 1, then what would P be? Well, P equals half times 1. And we know that anything times 1 is going to equal itself. So half times 1, let's make that a little bit better. There we go. Half times 1 is going to equal 1/2. So therefore, I'm going to try my best, y'all. Bear with me. 1/2. Okay? So we know that if N equals 1, that P is going to equal 1/2. So let's look at our graphs over here. Okay, let's look at answer choice A first. Remember, N is on our x-axis. We're going to go across 1 right here. Okay, I'm going to use this red right here. We're going to go across 1. That was about 1/2. Let's try that again. All right, I'm going to go across 1 right here on my graph. There we go. Perfect. And now I'm going to see if our P value is equal to 1/2. So I'm going to go up until we reach our line here. So does that point look like it's about halfway between this 0 and 1 on this graph? I think it does. Okay. Let's look at C. Our line looks a little different on C. Let's see if we can find this out. Okay, so remember, our N is on our x-axis. Let's go over to the right. 1. Okay. Let's go up to our line and let's see where this value hits. Looks like it hits on about 2 1/4, 2, somewhere around there. So, which graph is correct? Well, answer choice A is going to be the correct graph in this case, because our value was 1, and then our y value was 1/2. So our x was 1, or in this case our n was 1, and our p was 1/2 because p equals 1/2 times 1, so therefore p had to equal 1/2 over here. Okay? So just by process of elimination, just by making our table, we know that A is going to be our correct answer on this question.